If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you do understand will confuse you. In all of these 9 areas of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Anywhere on the planet, minute by minute, day by day, all of the time, all of the time, all of the time.
All righty. Welcome and good morning to the Tuesday, September the 17th, 2024 edition of the Counter-Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and we thank you for tuning in to today's program. Hopefully you will have some questions or maybe even a brief comment. And if you do, you know what to do. You just dial this number, which some of you have, including Blacktop here, 561-453-9921. Make sure you press the number 1 button and wait for the communication to begin, and then state your name, give your name to the person there, and we can go from there. Pardon me. If you're a first-time caller, you do the same thing, but make sure that you tell the contact person that you are a first-time caller, and we have something special for you. I call it priority status, but you will be heard. So you don't have to worry about that. So you can ask your question or give your quick VGQ. Please, ma'am, please, sir. If that's uncomfortable for you, you can also have me do it by contacting me at my Gmail, which is the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, MRBOBBY @gmail.com. You do that, and at some point in time, I will read your Gmail, and I will let you know all about that so that you can hear your Gmail read. A lot of people like to use that option and then have Mr. Fuller address your question. As a matter of fact, I'm going to read a Gmail to start the program after I finish what I have to do here. The third way that you can listen to the program or even participate is through our chat room, and all you have to do is go to blogtalkradio.com. You want to click on where it says programs. You click on programs, and a list of shows will come up, and the show that you want is the Produce Justice Show. You click on that, and the chat room icon, I believe, is available on the right-hand side. At least it was on my setup here. Anyway, you click on that, and then you are in the chat room. And then there you go. Now, here's the thing. Do not ask me a question to ask Mr. Fuller from the chat, because the chat is for the chat. But you can use either the Gmail or the line number, and then wait in line and ask your questions. Okay, Mr. Fuller will be talking, through the book, as I see the usual suspects are at play this morning. That book is called The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, that you can obtain by going to producejustice.com. That's producejustice.com. And we were at some point having some logistic issues with that, but all of that has been corrected. Mr. Fuller got involved and gave directives to whomever, and that situation is now corrected. Refunds have been sent out, and books have been received. So it's all good now. And if you have a problem or anything, you can contact us at, excuse me, boy, I'm telling you, what a day. You can contact at contact at producejustice.com. You can do that, and someone will respond to that, and they will respond to you. They keep records, so no funny stuff going on. All righty, I believe that is all. So now we have a segment of the program that we call Thoughts and Expressions on the Mind of Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. But before I do that, I must do this. Let me introduce to some and present to others, Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. Mr. Fuller, good morning, and how are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm still learning.
All right. Now, and Mr. Fuller doesn't know this because, as you know, we do not rehearse the program. It's live. That means mistakes and all are in this program. So it's just as is, and we will confront that. I got a Gmail from someone, and Mr. Fuller is very sensitive about his material, so we're going to read this. Now, Mr. Fuller has no idea about this, so this is right off the cuff. So here we go, and then we'll get into thoughts and expressions. It says, greetings, Mr. Bobby. I will be contacting the Produce Justice site directly. It says a fellow counter-racist scientist shared this with me from another victim who was concerned about the legitimacy of the origins of this work. Did Mr. Fuller authorize an audio/digital book of his work? The two victims have not seen the link on producejustice.com. Now, here's what it said. It said it has author Neely Fuller Jr., and it says sign in to follow. And it says follow Neely Fuller Jr. to get new release emails from Audible and Amazon. I, Neely Fuller Jr., the writer/author of this book, like millions of others, have been a long-time victim of and servant to racism, white supremacy in all areas of activity. My experiences, observations, and or studies have led me to believe the following. Racism has done more to promote non-justice than any other social material system known to have been produced or supported by the people of the known universe. Number two, no major problem that exists between people of the known universe can be eliminated until racism is eliminated. Number three, the fear, frustration, malice, and confusion caused by racism retards or prevents all constructive activity between the people of the known universe. Number four, the only form of functional racism that exists among the people of the known universe is, quote, white supremacy, end of quote. Number five, the people who have the ability to eliminate racism do not have the will to do so, and the people who have the will to do so do not have the ability. Number six, regardless of all that has been said or done, the quality of relationship between white people and black people is and has been a total disaster. Number seven, justice is better than racism. Number eight, as long as racism exists, anything said or done by people that is not intended to help eliminate racism and to help produce justice is a waste of time and energy. Each and every victim of racism should minimize the time and effort spent doing anything other than thinking, speaking, and acting in a manner that helps to eliminate racism and helps to establish justice. Each person and every person should seek to do this every day in every area of activity, including economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war/counter-war. And then it says, get a free audio book. Try it for, and it has $0. And then it has $14 per month after 30 days. Cancel at any time. Now, Mr. Fuller, when I got this, and I did send a copy to the people involved, Mr. G, I did send it, and I asked him, as you heard before the show, I did ask him that, and he said he did receive it. Now, I'm asking you, did you, in fact, authorize this audio presentation by whomever? Now, this was sent to me, so I'm asking you.
No.
Okay.
No, and that is, as far as I know, a copyright violation, outright.
Okay.
That's a jailhouse offense, or monetary offense, as far as I know. I didn't authorize anybody to do that. And once you take, that's what you call copyright violation. Like you see in every book, something. Sometimes it takes up the whole page. That's all that's on the whole page. It just says copyright, 19 or 2024 or whatever.
Okay.
That's what that means. That's reserved. That's gone through the Library of Congress. That's the facility that gives a person a copyright, which means you have the right to copy. No, so I didn't do that. To everybody out here who's doing it, that is a federal offense. That's against the law.
Yes, sir. You know. Okay, thank you. I wanted to read that before we got into your thoughts and expressions, because I know that people, whoever they are trying to do a lot of things underhandedly. And I wanted to read it before the listening audience and those who are listening that do stuff like this, and for those who don't, who generally want the information that you provide, because I know you've answered this question before about audio books, but I wanted to make sure that everybody, even when they play this recording over, that you did not authorize this whatsoever. Okay, so now we have it on record. So if anybody gets something that says that an audio action sanctioned by Mr. Fuller, you know that it's false. It is fraudulent. So I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Well, with a capital S, it's basically stealing. That's the name of that. You can't do that with anybody's written material or people who write songs. The people who do rapping. I mean, you know, if they hear their material, somebody's supposed to go to court.
Okay.
And explain how they can just sit back and wait for somebody else to do the work, and then they walk off with the money. I'm selling a book. Now, the particular thing that you just read, that's on the back of the book. It's also at the website, producejustice.com. Unless that's been removed for some reason, and there was no reason for that to be removed.
Okay.
So what you just read, everything that you just read, is at the website, producejustice.com, you know.
Yes.
And that is also on the back of every one of the publications, the Word Guide and the Basic Book.
All righty.
So in answer to the question, that is a violation of law.
That's
for
right.
Whomever is doing that.
And Neely Fuller said no, he did not authorize this. So
I haven't authorized anybody to do that.
There you go.
Except the publisher of my book.
Got it. Okay, we got it clear. Okay. And one more thing. Mr. AP, when you contacted me, I understand that there was an issue with one of my devices that you made contact with, and I did not know that. But that issue has been resolved. So I'm publicly apologizing to you when you listen to this. You can use that information that I gave you or that number, and it's all good now. I was not aware of it, but I've been made aware of it, and I've made the necessary corrections on that so that what we discussed, you may now proceed. Okay, now let's get on with it. We have a segment that we call Thoughts and Expressions on the Mind of Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr., and today being the 17th of September, 2024. Mr. Fuller, what is on your mind for us today?
People making contacts that are unnecessary. Everybody's on their cell phone. So what the code says, what I advocate, because you make all these contacts, it's just one standard. Every time you make contact with anybody, family members or whomever, doesn't make any difference who it is, white people, black people, any kind of people, you make contact on a phone or in person. You just strike up a conversation with someone riding the subway or whatever. You should come away from that contact having transacted some type of information that produced, in just two words, a constructive result. Otherwise, do not, under any circumstance, make a contact with anybody. Why? Because too many things are said and too many conversations that wind up not producing a constructive result. And this happens too many times, and it leads to what? More problems that you had before you made that contact. Or someone contacts you. You can ask them, like, politely, what is this conversation going to be about? And is it designed to produce a constructive result? And if so, what kind of constructive result? And for whom? So you want to know this. If people say, Fuller, come on. People just talk and would, yes. And people complain about all of their contacts, for the most part, or some of them, or any of them. Why not have a code of your own where every contact that you make with everybody, you come away from having made that contact on the phone or otherwise, saying, I gained something and I didn't lose anything. And what I gained is going to produce something either for the person I was talking to, produce something constructive, or the person who was talking to me, or a combination of both. But black people, in fact, all people, should stop having contacts with anybody unless they come away from that contact with a constructive result. That's rock bottom code, or at the top of every code
that everybody throughout the planet should have. Then maybe we can have some of these things that's going on like in the Middle East and Russia and all like that not even happen. Because all kinds of terrible things happen as a result of contacts. I saw somebody on television, and it doesn't have to be just on the phone, which is the way it usually does in this day and time, because everybody's on the cell phone, it looks like, 24/7, nonstop. I mean, in the schools and whatnot, they can't teach or anything, so I've heard, on the kind of everybody wants to be talking on the phone. In order to do what? If you're not gaining something, suppose every time you picked up your phone and then had a 10-minute talk or a 5-minute talk or a 2-minute talk, $1,000 went into your bank account. Because there are some people on the planet who do just that. Now find out how that works. Now we're talking. Because I think $1,000 for a 5-minute call in your bank account, if you got one, would be a constructive result. But you talk all day long, and it's when you finally make the final talk, after you've talked to 30 people, you're mad about everything. And much madder than you were when you started out making the contacts, which was almost the moment you woke up in this day and time, from what I have heard. I'm not familiar with it because I don't even have a phone that makes that kind of contact. I mean, my phone is, when you see me on the phone, it's practically for emergency or something. Or I got to catch a cab or something. I mean, I'm very, very old-fashioned, but that's me. When you're talking, you're not talking just to be talking. In the old days, back during Depression time, when I was there, I mean, that phone in my grandmother's house, it rang about once every 2 months. that was for business only. When I was very young, we couldn't be on the phone. Mm-hmm. That's for grown-ups, talking on the phone. You know, get off that phone. That's costing me money. That phone bill was 75 cents this month. I don't want to hear no more about this. Mm-hmm. That's the way it was, and so. Mm-hmm. But that's me, and I'm old-fashioned. I know these are new times, but I hear people complaining. People committing suicide I've seen on television about a conversation. Now, how does that happen? Young people going to school and then go that evening and commit suicide about a conversation? I mean, what was said? I don't know how that works, but somebody does.
Somebody does, yes.
People.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's what's on my mind this morning.
Alrighty.
The code calls it no contact, no conflict.
Alrighty.
You can't have conflict with somebody that you ain't been in contact with.
Alrighty. 516-453-9921. Keep in mind, everybody, that we are prisoners of war. And if you do not accept it, which you do not have to accept that, it's only going to lead to further confusion, because racism, white supremacy is a global system of mistreatment of people, particularly people of color. And if you don't understand that, oh, by the way, and in every area of people activity, they got this bad boy down on lock. That's why it has to be. That's why it has to be disassembled, abolished, eliminated, and this is the key word, replace with the system of justice, compensatory justice, as Mr. Fuller has explained. All right, let's get with it. Thank you, Yojita in South Carolina. I see you got in there. Okay, we're going to the top. Black top. I got about 4 minutes before break, so here you go. Ready? Get ready. I see you, Corey. Black top, you are. Wait a minute. There you go. You're on. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Bobby. How you doing, Mr. Fuller?
Good morning. Mm-hmm.
I'm still learning.
Just one real quick question. Have you ever been affiliated with the following two religions? Have you ever been affiliated with the Lost Foundation of Islam or the Jehovah's Witnesses? And I'll leave it there. And I'll hang on the line.
All right.
Well, I've gone to hear just about everybody who has a religion talk about their religion, because that's a requirement according to my religion. I have a religion. It's even listed in my textbook, and it tells what the requirements of that religion is. It's called eclectic pluralism. I used to call myself a Christian because my grandmother took me to church, and then so person that I knew that I went to school with was going to church every Sunday, so he invited me to go with him, so I joined. Why? Because the people in the church, the older folks, they've asked me to join, and I was taught to obey old folks, and all that. So I joined on account of, they told me to join. I didn't even know what it was about or nothing. I got baptized and all of it. So, but later on I say, well, my religion, they call it Christianity, and I'm not doing the things that people say you don't do. There's so many rules and regulations. I said, I'm not doing these things, so I didn't want to be no hypocrite. So I said, I'm going to stop calling myself a Christian, because the code says, for one thing, if you got a religion, practice every bit of that religion's requirement. And if you don't, then stop claiming that you got it, because that causes religious wars or non-religious wars. I mean, yeah, you do what everything that your religion requires you to do, you do it right to the letter, without fail. Otherwise, it's what most religions will say in their religion. You're a hypocrite. And then some religions say, that's the worst thing you can be. Associated with the very names of religions. So then I say, well, what is a religion? I ask that question, because all questions have answers. So they say it's a strong belief backed up by action. So I put that in the textbook. And then I say, okay, what are the beliefs that I have that I act on? I said, I'm all over the place. So that's why I call it eclectic pluralism, because I'm trying to find literally what it means, and it says in the textbook what it means. And the first thing it means is I'm trying to find the true religion, because everybody that I talk to who has a religion say that theirs is the true religion. And sometimes they'll add on. And all these other religions out here are false. That's why I ain't one of them. So I want you to join my religion, Fuller. And then the other person sitting behind him say, oh, yeah, I heard about you people. You need to stay away from them, Fuller. You need to come over to my place. That's the true religion. So the next thing you know, they cussing each other out. I say, I don't want to be no part of none of this. And I've been saying that ever since.
Mm-hmm.
If y'all going to wind up doing like they're doing over there in the Middle East in the Holy Land, where Jesus walked, and Nebuchadnezzar and Joseph and Mary and all those people, and y'all can't do no better than this, killing babies? No. I have no interest in that at all. I can kill babies without going nowhere, ever. That's easy to do. Do something difficult.
Do something
like
difficult.
Having peace.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All righty. Blacktop, thank you. I'll leave you on, and with that, we will take a break. You are listening to the Counter-Racist Code Show, also called the CRCS. And we thank you for listening to it. Thank you very, very much. Now, to call into the show, you can, and this is the number, 516-453-9921. Question or comment, just press the number 1 button, and you will be on. Oh, yeah. You can also join the chat room. All you have to do to that is go to blogtalkradio.com, and that, click on where it says programs. You click on that menu, and then a list of shows will come up. And the show you want is the Produce Justice Show. You click on that, and the chat room is available, I think, on the right-hand side. At least it's on my computer. And you click on that, and then you are in. And the third way that you can get on the show or have a question or comment is through the Gmail, at my Gmail, and that is the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, MRBOBBY, at gmail.com. And I will get your Gmail and read it, let you know. It will be read at a certain time when we can work them in during the shows that we have. You can do that. Okay, now, the book that Mr. Fuller talks about all the time is the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept that you can get at producejustice.com. Now, and I'm glad that Blacktop asked this question, because the term that Mr. Fuller used, eclectic pluralism, that is in the book. It's in the Word Guide. Page, I believe it's page 99. Yeah, page 99. It's there to give you a illustration, give you a definition of it. This is why it is important that if you don't have it, that you get it, because sometimes you need to refer to the manual about something. You're driving an automobile, you need to, and you don't know where a part is or how to replace it or what to do. You go to the manual and you look at it, or now I guess you can go to your phone because they have tutorials on the phone. You can look at it and find out for your model of automobile, for example, where it's at and how to repair it or replace it, whatever you have to do. Same way with this book right here. Terms and things are used, and you need to be familiar with these terms. And he has them in this is the Word Guide, but he has it all in there. Now, obviously, it can't be every word, so let's don't get ridiculous about this. But these are terms that he decided that he would put in there so that you would know and understand, knowing what you're dealing with in this prison system that we are in. And by the way, if you don't understand for sure that you are in a global prison system of white supremacy, man, whew, my goodness. And it's in every area of people activity.
Also, it's under religion in the basic textbook.
Yeah, I have it right here. Well, this is
eclectic pluralism, and I explained what it is, because I made up those two terms. I didn't make up the words. I just put the two terms together and explained what I mean by it.
Mm-hmm.
See what I mean? That's an answer to the caller's question. All right. I think I'm answering his question.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I was reading from the 2016 edition. I was reading from that page 99 in there, right at the bottom of it. But anyway, that's where you get that's what you do. You get the book or books, because there's 3 volumes up. You get them, and then that way you will know and understand, or else you're going to operate in confusion. All righty, producejustice.com, producejustice.com. Thank you, Blacktop. Corey, Milwaukee, you are up on the menu. Let me get you in here. Okay. All right, Corey, you're there. Good morning.
Grand Rising, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller. You kind of answered my question that I was going to ask Mr. Fuller when you were speaking about contact, and even when you were speaking about religion, constructive results. I just wanted to ask you, if you do recall, I previously asked you a question maybe a year ago, that what would be considered the weapons of fighting this global system of white supremacy racism, and you said, in everything that you say and do, I'm paraphrasing, you said constructive results are like missiles at this system. Can you explain that for all the listeners that are trying to produce justice? Can you explain that further, Mr. Fuller? Thank you.
Constructive results, explain that.
Explain how constructive results is the weapon that we can use against the system. It's the only thing we can do.
Well, it's like,
if you agree.
Yes, in anything. First of all, what do you think about when you think about constructive results? When I say these words to you, what do they mean to you? Otherwise, I'm not communicating. If you don't understand what a constructive result is, then I have to research what I am doing. I'm using words here. They're tools. They're supposed to do something. What do I mean when I say constructive results, the way you understand it? Because it seems like you're asking me, what do I understand, or what am I saying when I say constructive results? Now, that's a question. But if I'm answering in such a way that you don't have any idea of what that means, then I have failed in telling you that. You're supposed to understand everything that I'm saying once I say it. Well, that's a failure on my part. So it seems like you're asking me, what is a constructive result? Are you asking me that?
Wait a minute. Let me get him in here. Go ahead, Corey.
No, Mr. Fuller, what I'm asking you is, I know what a constructive result is, and I know what you mean when you say it. What I'm asking you is, can you elaborate how constructive results are the weapons we can use against this system?
It is a weapon by you doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And the textbook for victims of white supremacy is supposed to show you how to do it. Now, can I prove that my books will do it? No. I will only be able to even make an assessment when people start doing things like it says in the textbook, dealing with law enforcement. But I don't see people doing what's in the textbook. Mm-hmm. I say don't, 3 F's.
Yeah.
You're dealing with law enforcement. don't fuss, number one, don't fight, and don't flee when you're interacting with law enforcement. I just saw a person on television. The person was fussing. I see it quite frequently. The person jumps out of the car, meets the law enforcement officer halfway. What you stop me for? You ain't got no business stopping me. That's fussing. I get pulled over, me, Neely Fuller, and I wait for the person, the law enforcement officer, to tell me what to do. And whatever he or she tells me to do, get out, put your hands on the hood. I get out, and I put my hands on the hood of the vehicle. If I might ask a question. What on the head? You want me to put my hands on the hood of my car or your car? Your car's. All right. And he might say it just like that. Blankety blank. Sometimes they use profanity, which that's a violation of law right there, which I could fuss about. You don't fuss at all. You comply. You don't fuss, not raise your voice in any kind of way. You don't fight. You certainly don't do that. I mean, that's a huge error. Get your hands off of me. You ain't got no right to touch me. I know my rights. I see it happen all the time, at least on television, and sometimes I see it in the middle of the street where I am. It's always a mistake. Always. It's not a condition in which that isn't a mistake. And I've never seen anybody cuss their way out of a pair of handcuffs. Now, you say that one more time, I'm going to take the cuffs off of you. I've never heard of that happening. So all that fussing whatnot is not getting you no mileage at all. That's what you're used to doing on the playground. But this is not play.
Correct.
There are guns here involved. I've got to belabor this because it keeps happening. And then people turn right around and do the very thing that very evening that I said that you absolutely never do in life. Don't fuss, don't fight, don't flee. And then come on programs like this. Sometimes this program, I think, and to go right out and, hey, start fussing and cussing as soon as they get off the phone to a law enforcement officer. Or start fighting. Oh, my goodness. Oh, pulling back. And, you can't put no cuffs on me. I ain't done nothing. That's Negro logic. It doesn't work. See, that's what I mean by constructive results. Is this getting you what you want? I told him a thing or two. I gave him a piece of my mind. Well, now you got more problems than you ever thought you would ever have in life.
More problems.
And you're sitting there in the holding room talking about, did you hear me? Did you hear me give all of them a piece of my mind? All 6 of them?
That's it. And even if you comply everything that they tell you to, remember this, you can comply and still die.
Yes.
Because they have they've been authorized by the system of white supremacy to kill you.
Yes.
They've been authorized.
You're a prisoner of war.
Yeah.
And when I've gotten pulled over, I consider myself, I'm a captive prisoner of war. I'm not a citizen of nothing. Okay? That's the best way to look at it. Mm-hmm. And I keep saying that. Why? Because it works. It works for me.
It works.
Every time that I don't fuss, don't fight, don't flee, everything works for me. I don't know how it does for you. You keep fighting, fussing, and fleeing. But it doesn't. When I wouldn't even think of doing that.
Yeah.
That would not cross my. I'd be terrified, even thinking about doing something like that. Why?
Yes.
Because I know I'm going to lose. That's why.
You're going to lose. The system is set up for you to lose. This is why on your movie list, Mr. Fuller, and thank you very much, Corey, on the movie list that, and I went over it this weekend, the Shawshank Redemption is very prominent, the symbols in it. All the negative stuff that happened to Mr. Andy Dufresne, a lot of people have a lot of opinions about that, but the one thing about it, he stayed focused on his goal of being released from that. So he took the abuse, being raped and beat up and all that kind of stuff. He worked with the system and gained the trust of the warden and all that stuff. He never lost focus of his plan, even when he had to go through all the, I want to use another word, but raw sewage or whatever you call that, excrement and all that kind of stuff. He went through that to gain what he wanted. He never lost focus. And that's what we have to do, understanding that this is a global system. And it won't be right until it is eliminated, because there is no justice. Forget it. No justice. All right. Thank you, Corey. Yo, Jeter, guess what? We going down to South Carolina. Long time I haven't heard from you. Yo, Jeter, wait a minute. Let me see. There you go. You are, wait a minute, in the background, there you go. You're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please, sir.
Great rising, Mr. Bobby. Great rising, Mr. Fuller.
Yes, sir.
I know my background may be hard to deal with right now.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you to Mr. Fuller, and have you heard about a team of strawweights out of Burkina Faso in Africa? He's reliving all, he's Fuller's words as we speak now. He's producing justice in Burkina Faso. He's not asking where the white people went, where did the white people go? He's running them out of Burkina.
Having a hard time hearing you, bro. Really, we are. Mr. Fuller, can you hear him?
I hear noise in the background.
Yeah, that's what we hear.
I hear him loud and clear, but I still hear noise in the background.
Okay. Did you have a question, Yo, Jeter? Because really, that noise, whoo.
Yeah, was you aware of what's going on in South Africa? Burkina Faso with Abraham Traoré.
Mr. Fuller?
I didn't hear that.
I didn't either. Yo, Jeter, I'm sorry, bro. I really can't. That noise is really compromising the call. I tell you what, if you could get somewhere where we can hear that, we'll give you priority status. You can call back in because we really can't hear it.
Well, I'd like to stay on the line.
Yeah, we want you to stay on the line, but we can't hear you. All right.
Yeah, the president of Burkina Faso, Abraham Traoré. Have you ever heard of him, Mr. Fuller?
No, I haven't.
Anyway, if you haven't, well, he's doing everything that you talk about in your book. I don't know how much he's heard of you, but he's producing justice, and he's not asking which way did the white people go. Actually, he's running them out of his country. And I would like to have your thoughts on that.
All right. Mr. Fuller, your thoughts on that?
If somebody that you know who's doing what?
Faso. He's the president of Burkina. He's the president of Burkina Faso in Africa.
Okay, so what is it you say he's doing?
He's not asking which way did the white people go.
He's not doing that.
No, he's running them out of his country.
Is there something that he's doing that you say he shouldn't be doing or should be doing?
No, he's a living example of your book. He's producing justice.
Oh, in other words, he follows the code.
Yeah, you can rest easy. Your book is doing wonders. He's living proof of your book. And I thank you so much.
Oh, okay. In other words, he's following. See, I always say you're not following Fuller. You're following logic. 1 and 1 is 2 for everybody. They don't, 1 and 1 doesn't care whether you care or not. 1 and 1 is 2. I mean, 3 oranges is different from 1 orange. Okay? That's all the book is about. Being real we talk about being real more than anybody on the planet. And we're some of the most unrealistic people when it comes to serious business that ever existed. I mean, go right out there and know you're going to get shot. But I'm going anyway. You say, well, why? Because that's the way I feel about it. So you're willing to get shot. Yeah, I'll worry about the effect that it has on me later on. Later on, it may not be no later on. You may be late from now on for everything. Is that the kind of logic you want to have? Well, that's how I feel at the time. I hear that. People say it. When they sit down and eat a plate of food, they'll say, I know this is killing me, but man, it tastes good.
Yeah, I'm going to eat it anyway.
That's Negro logic at its best. That is what the white supremacists said. Boy, we thrive on that.
Yeah.
Because we know how to make everything look pretty. That's just as ugly as it can be.
All righty.
And a black person will go for it every time.
Mm-hmm. Every time.
Yeah.
All right, Yo Jeter. Thank you. South Carolina, check it in. All righty. Thank you very much. Remember the symbolism, if you can, in the Shawshank Redemption, and also the symbolism in the Wizard of Oz. The follow the yellow brick road, gold. The Emerald City, money. The Wizard, how about AI? Weapon, fear. And guess what? Dorothy had the power to go home all the time with her clicking her heels, the red shoes. We have the power right now. Only thing is, we don't believe it. Ha! All right, anyway, let's go to TX in Charlotte. TX, get ready. You're going to be on here. Wait a minute. I'll see you, Mr. Walker and Dollar Bill. TX, get ready. Charlotte, okay. TX, you're on with Mr. Fuller. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Bobby, and good morning, Mr. Fuller.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir.
A couple of VGQs, and let me just kind of bag into it because you were talking about the Wizard of Oz, and I immediately thought about the one who exposed the wizard. If the wizard has been symbolic of white supremacy, was
That's
the
right.
least of those, which was, you want to take a guess?
Wait a minute. I didn't hear the question, but you talking about exposure. Wasn't it the dog, Toto?
Bingo.
And dog spelled
Toto.
backwards is God? Anyway, go ahead.
You got it. Okay. Moving right along. So words. This is entirely VGQ. MAGA, Make America Great Again. Mr. Fuller, if we just drop those 2 last letters and just make America, this ties in with what you talk about in your book about America does not exist. So if we kind of take that and how you can flip it to where Make America Exist as opposed to Make America Great Again, it has never really been great for most black folk. That's my contention. So that's one VGQ. Part 2 is when you talk about eclectic pluralism, and I thought about Langston Hughes' poem Salvation. I would just encourage your listeners to take a look at that poem where he talks about salvation and being young and being in the church and how it didn't quite measure up to what he had been led to believe. And then last but not least, another VGQ is we talk about calling people and talking on the phone and constructive results. This just happened this past Saturday at a church event, community church event here in Charlotte. A brother walked by and he had a patch on the side of his shirt, which was ABC. My curiosity wanted to know, well, what did that mean? And he told me that it was the Atlanta Black Crackers. All right, the word crackers got me. All right. Find out that his front of the shirt was a ticket of a baseball Negro League team from Atlanta. I never heard of the Atlanta Black Crackers. I'm sure some of the listeners have.
Yeah, I have.
You go to that you have? Okay, great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to bring it home with this. As a result of that conversation, as a result of me getting out of my comfort zone and asking that question, we started talking about sports and some other things and find out that he used the phrase, those who need help gets the most help. Those who need the most gets the most help. You know the phrase I'm trying to get. And I asked him, are you familiar with Neely Fuller? And the whole conversation changed as a result of that connection. So the title of your book, United Independent, when we're out here doing what we're doing, we are united yet independent. And sometimes if we're listening, we have, 2 ears and 1 mouth. If we listen more and talk less, we may find that there are some people who share your work and are actually working to help to bring about and produce justice. And as we kind of wound up our conversation, I asked him, what school did you go to? And he told me he went to Florida A&M. And I said, did you by chance play the fraternity? And find out that he and I were both fraternity brothers as well. So we ended with something constructive. We're going to maintain contact, and that's my VGQ.
All righty.
No question, just a VGQ.
All right. Thank you very much, TX from Charlotte. And I'm going to say that
North
Carolina. Yeah, okay,
right,
thank you. All right. Thank you, brother. Thank you very much. All righty. Let's see here. Whenever you do something, get into the habit, of researching and to prove whatever it is that you're doing. And the truth does that. And Mr. Fuller had talked about eclectic pluralism earlier today, and and I mentioned that it is definitely it's in his book that you can get by going to producejustice.com. I got it from the 2016 version, page 96. It explains it in detail. And when he was talking about the church, you have to understand, that the power is actually within you. But we've been trained not to believe that, and that is backed up. Now, how much proof do you have on that? 1 Corinthians 6:19. Know you not that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit and that the Spirit of God dwells within you? That's what the Word says. But people don't believe that. That's what the Word, and you don't have to. You don't have to. But that's what the Word says. The power is in you. What do you mean? You are the church. Wait till you find that out. Anyway, Mr. Fuller, we have about 2 minutes. The last word in this section goes to you. Go ahead, Mr. Fuller.
Follow the logic. The universe is huge. And so when you just look at everything going on around you and everything you've heard about that you'll never see, and all the stars out there, billions of them, that you know nothing about and never will, okay? And that's just in this universe. I understand from, some scientists have said there are hundreds of universes. I mean, they work around what they call the same solar system. In this solar system, solar talks about the sun. So everything that the sun touches is in what they call this universe. And then there are billions of places like the planet Earth that are barren. I mean, and so far away. I mean, just billions of them. Places just like the Earth, but they are not like the Earth. They are more like Mars. I mean, it's just dusty and whatnot. Nothing on them. That's just billions of those. And outside of that, or sometimes what I've heard inside of that, there are places that are just like the planet Earth, this one place here. So when you think about all of that while you're riding the bus, and then you're going to let somebody say something to you that's going to change your whole life for the worse, Think about the universe, everything that's going on.
All righty.
Think about all the people that you see walking, as the bus stops at the light. And you see all the people going here, going there, and whatnot. And ask yourself this question now. All the people that you see moving around, what are they doing?
What are they doing? Well, this is what we're going to do.
Doing?
We're going to wrap it up because we're out of time in the first hour.
Yeah,
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the first hour of the Counter-Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller. Forgive us, forgive me for the many mistakes I've already made, but you can find it in your heart to forgive me. I'll try to do better next week. All right, if you got to go, all right, be safe. But for those who are going to be here, stick and stay, don't go away. We will be back in 7 seconds. All righty. Welcome back to the second hour of the Counter-Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and we thank you for listening to today's program. Now, we want you to be a participant in today's show. You know what to do. Here it is, 516-453-9921. And when you make contact with the person on the other end, give that person your name so that I can hopefully give you a proper introduction without messing it up. I really tried to not mess it up, but that happens. That's why one of the reasons why I ask for forgiveness. You can also contact me by the Gmail, and that is this. The numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, MRBOBBY @gmail.com. Hey, listen. Now, your email probably will not be read today, but it will be read at some time, and I will let you know that it is on, and then you can hear it. But maybe it might be read today. But anyway, just keep that in mind. I will try to get to it as we can, because we are stacked up on that. But that is the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, MRBOBBY @gmail.com. And lastly, you can join the chat room. Go to blogtalkradio.com, and you want to click on where it says programs. You click on programs, and then the program you want, after you look at the list of menu of shows, is the Produced Justice Show. Click on that, and you're there. To the right is the place where you can join the chat and get into the chat, and there's generally some outstanding information in there that you can get, and occasionally I will read something from there. All righty. Oh, yeah, and the book, the guide. If you don't have it, you need to get the book. You need the operating manual so that you can refer to terms that are used on this show. Matter of fact, it has been, one of the terms has been eclectic pluralism. If you don't know what that is, it's in the book. It's in both books, in the Word Guide and also in the original book, the 1984 edition, Mr. Fuller?
It is. It is.
Okay.
And my view of course, everything in the code is flexible. It's a guide. It's not dictatorship or anything like that. It's not Fuller is my leader. Your leader is yourself.
Thank you.
But you got to have something to go by. I mean, when you're doing something for yourself, because that's what the book is all about. I mean,
alrighty.
It's solving problems. It's about solving problems. That's it. In the most constructive manner. Now, if it doesn't do that, then you go to another part of the book, whatever you're doing, because it may not apply. It applies to you, but probably not in the circumstances that you're in at that time.
At that time. Okay.
See, but the book is basically about just a guide for every move that you make. Works for you and not against you.
There you go. Okay. Before we go to the calls, quickly, do you have an update on your movie list, by the way, Mr. Fuller?
No, I don't, and
okay.
I'm not likely to have one because I don't want to make in this movie list. Most of the lessons that I think that a person needs to learn, even if they don't read my book, I got that movie list up there. But if you pay attention to each scene in every one of those movies that are listed, some are more important than others.
Okay.
But you basically have a pretty well guide of what to do and what not to do, what to say and what not to say. Yes,
that's right.
In all of those movies. Now, a lot of them are completely what you might call boring. There's one movie that's not on the list because the average person will want to know why that movie was even made. It's called My Dinner with Andre. Some people may have heard of it. My Dinner with Andre. Where it's just the whole movie is made up of two white men sitting at a table in New York just talking about life in general. And so, most of it sounds like absolutely nothing, which most of it is. Mm-hmm. Like most conversations are about really not absolutely nothing.
All right.
But that's the whole point of the movie. And I didn't understand. I said, what are they doing? I said, somebody recommended this movie to me. They said, I'm going to recommend this for you because, Fuller, you like to do a lot of thinking in depth. Okay? So I saw the movie, and I was saying, oh, man, this where is this movie going? What is this movie? I can't figure out what this movie is about. I got no... And then, just in the last few minutes, the movie said what the movie was about, indirectly. And the last few lines in that movie, My Dinner with Andre, and said, and then it was over, and I never saw Andre again.
Okay.
Now, that punchline in the whole movie said what the movie was about. And it also said thousands of things that would, if you're a real person that really likes to think, like to use your mind like I do, I got it. I got it.
All right.
I got a whole life lesson. But that movie is not on my list because I know that most people would say, man, why would anybody make a movie like that?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
okay.
Yeah. But I got it. You either get it or you don't.
You either get it or you don't.
See what I mean?
That's cool.
Yeah.
All righty. I'm going to go back to the phone lines. Wait a minute, Mr. Walker, before I get you in. Qualified immunity, says chat 7. You must have been in my mind because I was thinking about it. No such thing. Well, they get it. All righty. Give me some more information on that. It's in the chat, by the way. Mr. Walker in New York, get ready. Going to get you right there. Dollar Bill, I think you might be next, and I'm looking at Jay after you. All right, Mr. Walker, you are on now. There you go. Mr. Walker, good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me fine, Mr. Bobby?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Walker.
All right, perfect. I just got a VGQ today, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. My VGQ, it's about some events that were going on in the 1920s, because I like to see what happened in the 1920s compared to as in 2020s. Well, the 1920s was known as the Jazz Age or the Roaring 20s, and it was a decade of economic prosperity and cultural change in the Western world. The 19th Amendment was passed in August 1920, granting women the right to vote. The Harlem Renaissance redefined arts and culture. Prohibition, flappers flouted prohibition laws during the Jazz Age. Aviation became a business as it grew rapidly. Mass media, the media focused on celebrities, especially sports heroes and movie stars. And, of course, the stock market crash, the Wall Street crash of 1929 ended in the Roaring 20s and led to the Great Depression. Thank you, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller. I'd like to stay on the line, Mr. Bobby, if possible. Okay,
we'll see what we can do about that. All right, the Roaring 20s. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. dollar bill. Get ready. Drop some science on us. Wait a minute. Let me get this over here. To the dollar with the holler. Okay, wait a minute.
I'm in.
Okay, you're in the dollar bill. Just, the suspects were playing around here. Go ahead. You're on them.
Yes, they are. I really I want to thank you, Mr. Fuller, for all you've done. That book, every time I read it, it gives some extra points I see. The thing I wanted to talk to you about today, you've been talking about it. You were talking about contact with phones and constructive results. And I was wondering, let me just say this before I jump right into that. There's a movie called The American Society of Magical Negroes. And it's really discussing how, basically we're put here to really just to critique. We're black. We're here and we're existing solely to uplift and comfort white people, often by suppressing our own needs and emotions to avoid causing discomfort. And I was wondering, you speak like this, like we're supposed to be here just to really, I get that don't fuss, don't fight, don't flee. Yeah, we should do those things, but I kind of can't see the difference in you saying, well, you know what, you should be speaking up for yourself. I don't hear any of that in your tone. I hear this humble, just be this little person and let them run the world and not stand up for it. That's what I kind of get from you. And I understand, yes, we got to be respectful of all people, but I can't see myself as just sitting there and letting people take advantage of me and me not saying anything. And if it causes, some people, there are a select few who, if they would say, and I don't think you meant it this way, but, that, hey, I may die in my fight to fight for justice. And so I just wanted to just comment on that, because your social interaction, we kind of need social interaction. It is a healthy thing to socially interact. And I know that's two things. I'm sorry, Mr. Bobby, but there was a lot. So, I'm going to drop it there, and I'll ask my next question, this question on that. So my question today, Mr. Fuller, could you really give us just a little bit more explanation on the constructive results? Are you saying that we shouldn't be social interacting with one another?
No, I never said that at all.
Right.
That's what I mean by precision language. In answer to that question, I jumped right out of the box. No, I never said that. I said every interaction should be constructive. There's no wiggle room there. What do you mean? See, every word's supposed to mean something. So when you say social, what does social mean? Just that word. Look it up in any dictionary. What does social mean? Interacting. What I see with another person. And all I'm saying is that conversation, you should come away with a plus rather than a minus. In other words, something better happened to you. Otherwise, why have a conversation where something worse is going to happen to you than is happening already? That's all that I'm saying. Every move that you make should be a plus rather than a minus. Now, if you understand anything about mathematics, pluses are always better than minuses. When you have a correct effect on the world that you're in, and the world has a correct effect on you. In other words, you eat a plate of food, and you come away from that plate, that empty plate, and now you are healthier than you were before you ate, rather than you coming away from the plate of food and your stomach is killing you, and you have to go to the hospital because it wasn't really something compatible with your body. Your body is only made to intake certain types of things. Like cocaine will give you an artificial feeling, but it's destroying you more than, say, a plate of broccoli. Now, that's been proven over and over again. A plate of broccoli is better than an injection of some type of poison that makes you sick, even though it gives you the illusion of being in heaven, from what I've been told. I've never tried any of that. I've never even had a drink of whiskey or sipped a little to see how it tastes. Never in all the days that I've been on this planet have I ever knowingly had just one sip, a teaspoon of any kind of alcoholic beverage to my knowledge, because it was without my knowledge. Because the first thing I'd want to know, even as a teenager, because I saw what happened. See, I'm talking about, in answer to your question, it's long-winded, I'm talking about results. I saw all kinds of people around me, had them in my family and all like that, family, quote, unquote, who drank, as they say, and I saw the results of it. Mm-hmm. See, that's what the code is all about. What was the result? A guy named Standback. I mean, a wonderful guy. I mean, you know, nice to talk to when he was sober. In fact, he wasn't offensive when he was drinking. But his face was all torn up by falling face down in a curb full of broken glass. I saw that as a young person, and it impressed me. I said, now, that's not the constructive result that I think he was looking for when he was taking that drink. All right? I'm trying to make this as plain as I can. I don't think I can make it any plainer. What was the result of that move that you made when you were having this conversation with the person? Did you come away with all pluses and the other person did too? Or just a bunch of minuses where you wound up cussing each other out? I mean, why have the conversation in the first place?
Well, I have it, yeah. All righty.
I get along what you call on the surface. Of course, I know what's going on with white supremacy. But a lot of white people have told me, and I know why they're doing it, but they say, Fuller, I'd rather talk to you than not only, now this happened mostly because I had most of my interactions in the military, but I had a number of white guys from the South, and I wasn't giving up no so-called dignity or nothing like that, you know. And they were using the N-word, not directly at me, and all like that. And I heard them do it. But they would tell me when nobody else was around, well, you know what? I like talking to you better than I talk to anybody on this base. And I was wondering why that, because I never say much of anything. But what I was saying, I don't talk to people unless they're making some kind of sense. I'll listen. Yeah. I listen to drunk people. I listen to everybody. Because I found out, even among people who got drunk, like Standback, every now and then he'd make something when he's drunk. He would say something that would make all kinds of sense in the world, more than any college professor that I'd heard talk.
Oh, wow.
I mean, and he's drunk.
He's drunk.
See what I mean?
Okay.
You never know where you can get information.
Okay.
So be willing to listen to anybody.
Be willing to listen. Thank you, Dollar Bill. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Before we go to the next call, hey, stay focused, please. Stay focused. You stay focused because of we're in this system, global system of white supremacy, which is very profitable, monetarily profitable, probably to it, profitable in all areas of people activity. For example, the past statement here, food was mentioned. Just for example, take a pig. What they did was they don't throw nothing away. You ever heard of pig ears? Yeah, people eating that. Pig feet, people eating that. Pigtails, yeah. A liver, yeah, people eat that. Tongue, yeah. Oh, how could we forget chitlins? Yeah, the guts. See, they did all that stuff. They don't throw nothing away. Now, what about these other parts? Hearts. I heard of people eating heart and all that kind of stuff. What they do is all the stuff that you might consider nasty that you wouldn't eat, you don't know what's in that hot dog or whatever else they grind it up in. You know, be careful. Be careful out there. Stay focused on that because this thing is about making money for them at the expense of us to what they do.
Huge amounts.
Huge amount, yes, sir.
The fanciest restaurants are selling junk food.
Junk. And it's killing us.
I'm saying you're paying $40 for the meal. That's just for your part of the meal. All right? But when you look and see what the ingredients are and what your body is trying to get rid of when you eat it, see, your body sends signals to you. Your body says, what is this? Oh, it tastes good. Yeah, but, I'm a kidney. I don't handle stuff like this. I mean, I don't know what this is. Is it concrete or what? I mean, I don't handle this. This is made out of plastic. But it tastes good. It tastes good. I see it happening all the time. I'm witnessing that right before my eyes. And the person who is sitting there paying $50, $60 for that meal and then telling me 3 days later how sick they are. They had to rush me to the hospital. You're paying to be killed.
Paying to be killed. That's a good one. Paying to be killed. All right, Jay. Don't eat them chitlins, man. Jay in Miami. Woo!
Good
Jay,
morning, Mr. Fuller. Good morning, Mr. Bobby.
Good morning.
Mr. Fuller, I could tell you what you said. What was the constructive result? What would be the constructive result if you were drinking? I could tell you what it is. What the constructive result is for you not drinking, because you in your 90s, you were talking like you in your 60s, and you still at it. So maybe not drinking, but you're here today with us. So I tell you that I model myself after you now. I don't drink and I eat right. So thank you for that. Now, I don't know if you have, well, I know one of your favorite movie is Shawshank Redemption that people keep making reference to. But one thing I do when I watch movies is like I also try to get the lesson from the movie. But one thing Andy Dufresne said to the warden was that how could you be so obtuse in the movie? He took exception to that. Now, and as I look at what's happening with the system, the white supremacy system, is that if you look at the meaning of being obtuse, is someone who's like slow to understand something, or they're very negligent about it, to paraphrase. Now, is it because, is it what's happening with the white supremacy system? That's why we're in the predicament that we are? Even though we've tried times and times, we come up with different codes We've had great leaders. Is this the reason why we're not developing our full potential, Mr. Fuller? Because white supremacy is so obtuse?
No,
I have a follow-up question, please.
In answer to the question, the white supremacists are the most efficient people that in recorded history. The system of white supremacy dominates. It's the most efficient government of people in recorded history. There's nothing in recorded history that's believable that's more powerful than the system of white supremacy. And why is this? It's because the white supremacists, unlike anybody else on the planet, do not believe in doing anything that doesn't work. Once they try something that doesn't work, they don't keep doing like all the rest of the people on the planet, and many of them white. But the white supremacists among them say, we don't do nothing that doesn't work. If we find out that calling somebody obtuse is not going to get us what we want, we don't do it. We're going to get what we want. First of all, we get centered and very focused on what we want. WANT. Now, most people, the overwhelming number of black people, will stay what they want, but do just the opposite. We're not really focused.
Right.
We're rambling all over the place. That's what they say, the dark people do. Their minds just got them doing this and doing that, and you ask them, well, why are you doing this? Oh, no. There's something to do. The white supremacists don't do anything that is just something to do.
Yeah.
And when they do that, when they deviate from that, they are not successful at being white supremacists.
Exactly.
They have a reason for doing every move that they make.
Exactly.
Right. If they're going to make a candy bar, they say, now, who's going to eat this candy bar? Because I ain't. And they're making it. But sometimes, to show you how they think ahead, they know, now I'm going to eat one candy bar, but I'm going to have everybody else in the table eat 10. But I'm just going to eat one. And I invented the candy bar. I'm not going to sit there and eat 10, but I'll have everybody else eating 10. Because once they see me do it, they think it's all right. But they didn't notice I didn't eat 10 candy bars. And when I left that table, I immediately went and brushed my teeth. Now, they sat there and ate 10, and they didn't brush nothing. And I knew that they were going to do that. That's why I controlled them.
Wow. All right.
Just a simple thing like that. See, they don't do nothing that doesn't work for them.
Nothing.
Black people say, yeah, I got tore up last night, man. They had to tell me where I was. And bragging about it. See, that goes to show you where we are and call ourselves wise people.
All righty. Wise people, got to break it off right here. All righty. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. You're listening to the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr., and we thank you for tuning into today's programming. We got about a half an hour to go, so let's get with it. Contact number is 516-453-9921. You know what to do. Press that number 1 button. If you have a brief comment or VGQ, please make it brief. Please, ma'am, please, sir. Or just a question. Give Mr. Fuller time enough to answer the question. All right? You can do that. Chat room is open. Yeah, they in there too. Yeah. blogtalkradio.com. That's what you do. Click on programs. Yeah. And then when you click on the program you want is the Produce Justice Show. Click that bad boy in, and on the right-hand side, there's a chat room icon available. Get in that bad boy, and there you go. You can also Gmail me at my Gmail address, which is the numero 7, Mr. Bobby @gmail.com. That's the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, MRBOBBY @gmail.com. And then it'll get into rotation. In fact, I'm going to read one after this. All right, books you can get, ProduceJustice.com. Issues, logistics issues have been settled. That's why you don't hear no more complaints, because certain people got a hold of that bad boy, and there's a song called Let's Straighten It Out. Well, Mr. Fuller got on some brothers and sisters, and it's straight now. Now, the brother that wanted the book in South Africa, I don't know what's going on down there in the concept. He did ask me not to mention his name or the situation. All I have to say is I don't know about what's going on down there. As far as I know, I don't know about the book being distributed down there, but in other countries such as Canada, so-called Canada, and so-called the concept of the United Kingdom, yeah. You can get the books in other places. You can get that book at ProduceJustice.com, and you need it because several things have been mentioned that have come from the book. All righty. Before I read this Gmail, remember Mr. Fuller said, "Stay focused, codified." That's what Andy Dufresne did in the Shawshank Redemption, which we keep on mentioning. And I could see the illustration of the 4 ones. What did he want to do? Why did he want to do it? How did he plan to do it? And what was his constructive result?
And when he made a mistake, he didn't do that no more.
Thank you.
He didn't say anything to the warden about being obtuse the second time around.
No.
All right. Yeah, he said, "I will not say that no more." Okay, that's what he told himself, and that and then the warden got back into his trust again, and the warden was nicer to him than he was before. Because now I taught you a lesson, okay? But he had a long-range plan, something that a lot of black people hate. Well, we hate the plan 2 weeks ahead, where the white supremacists plan 500 years ahead.
I don't know why, but that reminded me of something, and I still laugh about it. That song you told me about. I told you that I love you, now get out.
Yeah.
I don't know why that makes me, but it really does.
It goes to show you that the white supremacists, for one thing, are masters of words. They don't let words master them. Black people get jerked around by somebody's words altogether. I just got to respond. I got to let him know I'm a man. You ain't got to let nobody know nothing except what they need to know to treat you better. Okay? You can get your enemies to treat you better than your friends ever did. If you know how to use language.
Okay.
That's what this program is supposed to be about.
Yes, sir.
What to say and what not to say, and when to say it.
All right. Gmail from Mr. Lacey says this. Please ask Mr. Fuller if Christ is an example of a universal man. If not, fine. If so, then I would like to remind Mr. Fuller of a question I asked about if something was done to eliminate the system of white supremacy that was considered evil to the white supremacists, then is that evil considered constructive? Mr. Fuller said that evil cannot be constructive and also to read the Bible as a reference of quotes. Here's my point. If Christ is indeed an example of universal man, then please consider Isaiah, 45:7, which says, I guess I didn't read this, but this is what he says: I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all things. Produce justice is in serious times. Fuller, what say you on that?
Does it work for you? When you read that, okay, so anybody, just like my book, you can read anything. So it comes down to, now that you know this, or you believe this, what are you going to do? See, it always comes down to the action. That's something somebody told me not when I was real young. That's something that I caught on to that I had completely missed all of the years that I've been there, about 40 years ago. All right? Somebody said, regardless of what people say, just look for the action.
Mm-hmm.
Say, let them talk and say anything that they want to say. But when it comes to the doing part, just watch and see what they do. Because that's the only thing that matters. Whether they are praising you or damning you or whatever, what do they do? Like people who are in karate and whatnot. Say, I don't care what you can say anything. I'm watching your hands and your feet.
Mm-hmm.
That's what people who are in the kung fu would say. You can stand there and make a speech all you want to. Say whatever you want to say. But I'm going to watch your move. When you make your move, that's when I'm going to make mine.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm a kung fu expert, what's the mathematics of it? I'm going to win. I ain't coming out of this losing.
Right. What was that expression that you used? Something about it only works wherever you're going?
As you go through life, you can't help knowing. You can always get help, but only the way you're going.
All righty.
And I have found in the few years I've been on this planet that that's true. That's how inventors invent things. Mm-hmm. That's how Steve Jobs can stand up there and say, I'm making billions of dollars just while I'm talking to you all about inventors, about making inventions. And he says, I'm not worried about the latest fashions or nothing like that. Because somebody asked him, why did he wear all black? He said, to keep him, that space in my mind, while I'm sitting there trying to have what you call a fancy wardrobe, I don't have time for that. I'm thinking about my next invention, where I can put people in position to have all the wardrobes in the world that they want. Every warehouse belongs to them, full of all the clothes that somebody black out there is trying to steal a pair of shoes. Okay? I'm making shoes by the millions.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so he said he wore all black because then he don't have to worry about what his wardrobe looked like. He said, when you're talking to Steve Jobs, you think I'm sitting up there thinking about what I look like? I ain't got time for that. I'm too busy making billions.
All righty.
You know, who's going to impress me?
Yeah.
You know, you going to spend time trying to impress me? And I'm doing all the thinking? See?
Yeah, I wonder if he took his trip to the Bohemian Grove. I bet Talif knows about that. Before I get to you, Talif, looks like AP. Looks like you're on the line. I gave you an apology earlier in the first hour. There was an issue with the device that I had that you could communicate with me back, and I didn't know that. Well, it has been resolved, and I want to publicly say that so that you can do what you said that you were going to do. I didn't know that, but now I've found out what the problem was, and it's been corrected and resolved. So, AP, you can do that. All right. Talif. I know Talif hasn't been to the Bohemian Grove. Talif, you're on, brother. Wait a minute. Get in there. There you go. All right, Talif, do it.
Good morning, Mr. Bobby, Mr. Fuller. I guess this is more or less a VGQ, but I guess Mr. Fuller can respond in kind if he wants. You know, the last few shows I've just been listening in here called. I get frustrated because there are remedies that we have. Like, for instance, there was a book that was written in 1600. Well, this guy named Jacob Gowd, he lived from 1686 to 1744. He wrote a book, Every Man His Own Lawyer, and of course, you know, some of the letters were different. But basically, it was an instructive method. So everybody could plainly, basically, so all manners of persons can be particularly acquainted with our laws and statutes concerning civil, criminal affairs, and how to know how to defend themselves and their estates and fortunes in all cases whatsoever. Even now, and if you look at that book, some of those things, because England, we get all our stuff from England, it still applies to this day. If you want to understand how you got this immunity, just go look at Chisholm v. Georgia. Study the Code of Federal Regulations, the Uniform Commercial Code, and I kind of differ a little bit from Mr. Fuller. Yeah, America doesn't exist to me in the sense that this is a corporation. So I look at our people. There was a woman, and I'm not going to stay long, that I saw a video. I'm not sure if I sent it to you, Mr. Bobby, but this was a sister that wanted to spend $50,000 on Gucci. I don't know if it was Gucci or Louis Vuitton, and they turned her away. She wanted to sue them. See, we do things that's called inappropriate behavior. So I get a little frustrated with our people because if you go to our library, even if it's a traffic incident, they give you remedies. If you get shot by the cops, our people, we don't plan for anything but the weekend, but other people plan for $500, like Mr. Fuller said. So we, Mr. Fuller, have to be responsible for ourselves and stop expecting somebody else to give us things that they're not going to give us. And I understand your book is perfect, but we have to.
Hey, Talib, I don't mean to interrupt you, brother, but you're breaking up. You're breaking up so badly. I don't mean to.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. But listen, I will say this, and if you can call back on a clear line. But what you said about the United States or a corporation, yes, you are correct. A lot of people don't know that. Just people who don't know, just put the United States in all caps, and look at it, and you'll find out exactly what this United States is all about. I always remember a couple of weeks ago to say, "Who's your daddy?" Yeah, find out for sure. It's all caps. Yeah, all caps. Check that out. All right, Talif, call back and see if they can get you in here. In the meantime, and in between time, I am going to try to effort to get my brother in here, which see if I can get you there, my brother. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Wait a minute. Get you in here. AP, third time. You're on. Is that correct, AP? Because the thing said that you are. Are you there, AP?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I wanted to say, because I didn't know at the time, but I gave you that there was a problem with the line, but it has been corrected, so you can proceed with what we had discussed earlier. I owe that to you as a public apology. Okay, go ahead with your question.
Apology accepted and no problem. I understand.
Right,
with our last talk, Mr. Bobby, I have a VGQ, and I'd like to listen to Mr. Neely Fuller speak to it. I heard you earlier on the line, but I did some errands and I'm coming back, so I haven't followed the whole program today. But I want to speak to the political climate right now with the unprecedented presidential election that is coming up November 5th. And especially I've been following quite a lot on MSNBC. I would suggest that the listening audience listen to MSNBC as much as they can every day. I watch it every day. I'm in retirement mode, so I'm not quite confined with the, not being able to follow it as much as people who work full-time and are distracted with how racist white supremacists are very good. They're very thorough. That's why I love Neely Fuller talking about this, Francis Cress Welsing talking about these kind of things, about how effective they are in what they do. And I want to bring up and speak to the last few days with the modern-day Caesar and the modern-day heathen devil that we see in the characteristic traits of what Donald Trump does, and his vice president that's with him, J.D. Vance. Now, we've been hearing talk about dogs and cats being eaten up, and I want Mr. Neely Fuller to speak about how they will just say and do just about any and everything that they can do. Throw mud up on the walls, throw spaghetti on the wall, and see what will stick and what people will believe in, being bamboozled and hoodwinked with the language that Mr. Neely Fuller so eloquently talks about. And Donald Trump lately, and his depraved mind, his desperation is just nothing but a modern-day Caesar, a modern-day Caligula, and just how far the bottom is for him and what he'll say and how far he'll go. He's talking about dogs and Haitians, talking about now recently these two events with so-called assassination attempts. I would not be surprised with his depraved mind and how desperate he is that these were not staged. Speaking to the first assassination attempt that they talked about, with whether or not, I have not heard, you correct me if I'm wrong, the audience and the view, don't take my word for it, what has happened to, there's been no reports of the person that supposedly was killed in the first attempt. There was an ex-firefighter. I have not heard any news of him being buried, any news of what happened to him, reports of his family, and there was two other people who were also injured, supposedly, in that first report in this attempt. Now, this second
let me
one,
ask you a question, AP.
Sure.
What would you want Mr. Fuller to respond to? Because you're throwing in so many things. So what
True.
I
want to. It all ties together because Mr. Neely Fuller knows about how all things are tied together in the system of race and all the political activity. So I'd like to, if Mr. Fuller has been following the reports and watching the news, watching MSNBC, what does he think about the tactics of what Donald Trump is doing, the language that's being said? Because I'm concerned about Kamala Harris, and they want to talk about how they're trying to attempt to kill him, but we need to be protecting our sister and hope that they won't, in turn, be trying to kill her. Speak to that, and I'll listen.
Chance to respond. Okay. Mr. Fuller?
Well, you always start with, according to the code, that's why I say we need a code. You never ask the second question until the first question has been asked and answered. So I'll start with the person, if I understand what the person was, and that is the people who reported to have eaten a cat or a dog. Okay? Now, that's been mentioned. So what the code says, and I'm saying that's why we need a code, you ask questions. Who showed the person, because I haven't heard it. I've heard about people doing that in a place called, what is it, Springfield, Ohio?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Springfield, Ohio, to go around and find out the person who owned the dog or the cat, whose cat or dog was eaten, and by whom, on what day. usually the dog or the cat might even have a name. I haven't heard any details, so what you want, according to the code, what I say about it, because what I say about it is all problems can be solved through the process of what? Questions and answers.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's talking about what Mr. Trump said. The code says, like me, I just heard that he said it. That's another thing I'm hearing secondhand information. I think I heard him say it on television, but the code says, find out if what he said is true. Somebody had a dog or a cat that was supposed to be eaten. Find out if that is true without even paying any attention to Mr. Trump at all. You don't have to call him names or anything like that and say he's a liar and all that. No, just find out is the truth. Start with that. See, the code says, find out what the truth is. See, we got to remember that. What is the truth? Not who said it, but is it true?
Whoever
somebody says anything about Neely Fuller, and people do, first thing I request that people find out is it true? First thing that I want to know about myself, is that true? Not who said it. See, we get caught up too much in people's personalities and all like that. My goodness, no, sick with logic. Now, somebody either ate a dog or a cat or they didn't in that particular place. Now, I understand there are places on this planet where people regularly eat rats. Not a lot, but a few people. And thousands of years ago, it may have been considered among some tribal people a delicacy. I mean, like a dessert. Oh, big fat rat, oh boy, you know, get it in here right now. I'm ready for my dessert. And it's a rat. Now, people, I understand it's been reported. I've, in my own time that I've been on this planet, a short time, I do know that people ate possum, and possums love to hang around outdoor toilets. So go figure.
Okay.
That's in my own lifetime. People went what? Possum hunting.
Okay.
Now, you don't see possum on most people's menu now. When you go into I don't think those hamburgers got possum in it, but it might be anything.
You never
all
know.
All right, from what I've heard. When it's all ground up, you don't know what it is.
Exactly.
Or where it came from. Okay? So we need to question that. Okay. But I'm talking about in my own lifetime. Jackrabbit. And people used to go what? Squirrel hunting.
Squirrel hunting, yeah.
You don't see people eating squirrels much because they say a squirrel is pretty kin to what? A rat. And when you look at a squirrel, and if you ever seen one in the park somewhere, and you look at a rat, now go figure. Are they kin to each other? That squirrel that's got a different tail.
Yeah.
All right.
Tail.
I mean, stop and think. Stop and think. And then look. And think about what you're looking at. They say that's the difference between, you know, and I've heard this all of my life. The difference between a white man and a black one is that a black man, what's called a man, doesn't want to ever think about anything. They just want to move without thinking. thinks about everything before he makes a move. And that's other than being the skin color, that's the difference between what they call a black man and a white one. A white man stands back and thinks. He uses his mind. And a black one just wants to do stuff. And brag about it. I ain't got time to do all that thinking. Well, who's going to do the thinking? Somebody who's going to control you. That's who. That's who.
That's who.
You don't want to do no thinking? And you got that brain? I just want to get a move on. Get the shakes, man, Get it on. Get that body moving.
Okay.
Without a brain. Chicken with no head.
Yeah. Wizard of Oz, who didn't have a brain? The Scarecrow. What does that mean? And check it out.
Yeah, I mean, got a body that's all over the place. But no brain.
No brain.
No brain.
Okay, well, Ms. Fuller, we have come just about to the end of the time, so you get the last few moments what you need to say before we have to put a wrap on it.
Well, I'll just repeat what somebody else said. Confucius. So somebody said that he said it, and that's just a simple thing. I saw it in the corner of something on TV about 3 weeks ago. First time I saw that quote, and I'm going to repeat it. It said, according to Confucius, not according to Fuller, because I think about it, and I've written it down in several places to remind myself of it, and that is, life is simple. Men make it complicated. Now, when I said that on a couple of programs recently, somebody said, yeah, you said that. It seems like you keep repeating that, like that's something new. Something that I'm repeating is worth repeating, I think. Otherwise, I wouldn't be repeating it. Life is simple. If you think about it, people make it complicated. That's why we see people doing things like going to a concert, lined up for blocks, and then get in there and wind up in jail. Is that what they started out to do?
Yeah.
I went to a concert, and then I wound up in jail. How did that happen? Was that my plan? Well, it must have been, because that's what happened to you.
That's what happened. Speaking about that, you being on other programs, do you have any information yet of you being on the Carl
Day
Nelson
after
show?
tomorrow.
So you'll be on there on Thursday?
Yeah, on Carl Nelson Show. Go to producejustice.com and see the time and the date and all that. That's what I've been told. That's what I've been told. So go to Produce Justice. Just punch it up on your computer.
Yeah.
And it should be there.
Okay, so
now the day is the 17th.
Yeah, Thursday the 19th, 2024, September. You'll be on at what time? At 8 a.m.?
8 a.m.
Okay.
In the morning, Eastern Standard Time. Carl Nelson Show.
Okay.
Neely Fuller doing what he's doing now.
I'm glad you
trying to make sense of things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Fuller, and thank you for listening, everybody. Sorry we couldn't get all the calls in, but we certainly did try, and all the VGQs and statements and so forth. We only have a couple of hours, so we can't get them all in. Listen, I made a lot of mistakes again today, and I don't say that haphazardly. I did, but I tried to correct them. So forgive me. I forgive myself, too. Have a good week, and be blessed. Stay focused, please. Mr. Fuller, last words go to you.
ProduceJustice.com.
All right.
Get the book and look at the list of movies and pick out anything that you see on that list and look for the lessons in each movie.
All right, thank you.
You help your friends with everything, whether it's renovating their basement, watching their kids from time to time, or shoveling their sidewalk when they're out of town. So why wouldn't you help them when they're hurting? If you know someone who may have mental health problems, let them know support is available, online or in person, with no wait list or financial worry. Visit counselingalberta.com for more information. Because if friends won't help friends, who will?
When it's time to play, it's easy to find your next favorite game with Bodog. Play free casino games, get poker tips, and check out the latest sports odds. Visit Bodog.net today. #MakeAPlay.